Hey, what's up? My name's Aaron. I'm with Janney Home Buyers. We're local investors in the Houston market. A lot of the content we're making here is very Houston based. Today, we're talking about how to help you build your own call script to find real estate investing leads wherever you are, really. But this is a great tool set we're going to be walking through today. Keep in mind the goal of a script is to have the call, what you're going to say, how to qualify the call, run the comps, and get the appointment. You are not on the call to sell the person to sell the house to you. That's not, you're not going to close the deal on the call, first call. That's not how this works. You're booking the appointment and what qualifies that appointment. So we're going to cover things like how to do the call, how to do the qualifications, cover the rebuttals and pushbacks you're going to get along the way, how to talk price and work the price a bit. And then last of all, how do you set yourself an easy target to know like, hey, this is worth the time to drive for an appointment versus it's just not ready yet. What do you do, right? So here we go. Keep in mind that this is a conversation, right? And when you're doing a script, I hate reading something and going through that. Some people like that. They like to have it memorized word for word. Go ahead and do your thing. The key thing is this is a conversation with a person. They're going to say things that are unexpected or unplanned. The best thing you could do is just kind of prep for the big ones that might put you back and be like, oh, and get defensive, right? So how you handle that and how you flow is really going to be able to help you become more effective in getting more appointments. They're going to have some emotional reactions. You're going to be able to deal with those punches on the fly. So on the call, the first script itself, don't beat around the bush. Don't get creative. Hey, I was looking at several properties. I came across your property at this address, and I'm calling you to see if you'd be interested in selling that property. Boom, straight to why you're calling. Don't waste their time. They're going to hang up on you if you start getting all fluffy, right? So get to the call, design that script how you want to have that said, and then you need to work on qualifying this, right? So is this potentially a lead for an investor? And you have to be a little more careful at how you do this here. So first thing is I ask is, hey, great. Have you listed your property with a real estate agent? If they have, they've clearly taken action towards selling. Okay, great. And how's that going so far? And you walk that way. If they haven't, you're going to change into, okay, but you're looking to sell. Do you have a time frame that you are looking to sell? What is that time frame? And usually they're just going to say, oh, as soon as possible. And then you just say, well, what does that mean to you? Is that like next week? Is that 60 days, 3 months? What does that look like, right? And from there, now you have a general understanding of a few things. If they're talking weeks, they are probably facing something very specific. And the next question, of course, you want to figure out why they sell, but you do not ask, why are you selling? You're going to get a lot of pushback and a lot of reactions that way. So there's ways you can say this in a way. If they say something like, oh, a week or 2 weeks, oh, wow, 2 weeks is a very specific number. Is there a reason? I need to make sure we can do that. Not a problem. We can actually close in 7 days, but is there a reason why you have that number in mind, right? And so I can be aware of this, right? And then they go into that. If there's not necessarily a specific compelling event, maybe you ask the why in a different way. You'd be like, okay, great. Can you tell me more about the house itself? Any repairs needed? What's the condition? Any remodels you've done? Maybe what are the neighbors like? Get them talking, right? They like to talk about their house. And you ask about, some questions to really qualify if it's an investor. Keep in mind, investor deals have to have some sort of problem with it, right? So if they say everything's perfect, well, it sounds like your house is in pretty good shape. We're investors, right? And typically we're not going to buy a house necessarily if it doesn't have some sort of work to it. Can I put you in touch with a realtor? Push back almost like, oh, you don't want to buy their house, and see if they come back. Or is there a specific reason maybe that you're selling or something that you're looking for in an offer that I could help you with? And from there, you might get more information on the circumstances. You'll have to play with this. You'll have to kind of use your experience in that conversation to draw out the why. But it's really important you understand that motivation, because without motivation, they're going to explore other options. They're not going to just take the random offer that you're giving. And investors, you need to be providing value to your sellers. That's just what we do, right? So why is important. Then find out, is the house vacant or occupied, right? Plan to move. Sometimes they need to sell because they're facing foreclosure, but they don't have a plan to move. And if you don't fix that, they're not going to accept your offer. It doesn't matter if yours is the highest offer. You didn't fix the problem that they have. Find the little things that matter, right, in that issue. So understanding if they have a plan to move. If not, you help them find that plan to move. There's other ideas we can talk about on how to handle that. And then who will decide? That person's name may be the only one on the county that record that says that they own that house. So maybe they're the only seller, but they may not be the only decision maker. And I've had so many times where I show up to an appointment, boom, 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 I agree to this offer, then I get a call, and it's like, my sister's coming to town next week, and then I never hear from them again, because the sister was actually the decision maker, and we weren't able to influence them. So how you draw this out, you'll need to work with this on how you say it, but say, hey, look, great, I see in the county record that you're the seller, maybe this other name's a seller, are you both going to be there at the appointment? Great. Okay, good. And is there anyone else, like let's say I give you the exact offer that you want, or maybe the first price that you throw at me, right? How are you going to know that this is the offer to move forward with? You get them to draw that out or whatever it be, and try to figure out if there's anyone else that will be involved in this, father or so on and so forth, anyone that you think I should meet while I'm there at that appointment, to make sure that we're just kind of covering all the bases and everyone's on the same page, and that they know that they can trust us to work with you, okay? So covering those things, qualifying it, important. Now we get into rebuttals. You're often going to call them and they're not happy that you called them, right? They're just going to tell you, oh, sorry, wrong number. Well, sometimes it actually is a wrong number, because the skip trace, like I know my wife gets calls all the time, hey, can I talk to Aaron? They got my wife's number as my number for some reason, and they just called the wrong number. So you just say, oh, I'm sorry, got the wrong number. I was trying to reach out to so-and-so about X property address and see if they're interested in selling that. Are you the owner of that property? Because it's tied to this address. And then you might get the next question, which is, where did you find my number? Well, I was looking through my county records and so on and so forth, and this number is tied to that number. Are you the owner of that property address? Reflect back and go into this, right? So how much is your offer is another one. A lot of people are just like, what's the offer? What's the offer? And I'm like, well, I have to make an educated number, or I'm going to end up giving you a lowball offer that keeps me safe, right? I'm happy to give you an offer, but I also want to be respectful of your time and get you the best price I can. And other things you can do, why so many questions? Because you're asking all these qualifying questions. It might feel like a psychiatrist here, right? You need to just say, hey, look, I want to make sure that I give you a price and I understand what I'm getting into on your property. I don't know the property as well as you do, so I really want to make sure that I understand the entire situation and the entire property, so I can give you the best offer and really address anything that is not addressed, right? And then you're going to have some that just don't work out. So don't spend too much time or too much effort chasing those down. Move on to the next lead, right? Now, pricing. How do you work pricing? So first of all, in your first call script, work in some sort of, hey, how much are you wanting for the house? They may not give you a number in the beginning. They may say, hey, what's your offer? Try to push for it a little bit, but don't push too hard. Then you're going to get into the end and be like, okay, what's your pricing? Again, if you haven't got that, make sure you get it. And then say, okay, if we pay all closing costs, all buyer, seller fees, the title search, attorney fees, etc., everything, what is your number? In other words, how much money are you hoping to walk away with here, right? And do that, because we can work some deals with some companies that we work with a lot, and it's a win-win for both of us, because then you or I don't have to pay really expensive fees, and you walk away with more money. What's that number look like for you? How did you get to that number? So they gave you a number. How did they get there? Is it a neighbor that sold the house for that much, maybe their house is like 1,000 square feet bigger, and understanding how they got to that number is going to give you insights that can help you say, well, did you consider this? Did you consider that? Did you consider this later, right? And keeping in mind of the original goal, call, qualify, run the comps, set the appointment, right? You aren't going to go to an appointment for everyone who agrees to meet with you, because that's just a waste of your time. If they're not serious about selling at a price that works for an investor, it's not for you. It's for MLS, a realtor, or someone else, right? And it's not for you to move on. So you need to find a way to get to a number on that call that's close enough to set that appointment and set the criteria. So you're going to have two things. You could have either a warm drip, potentially, where you're touching base with them because you think maybe they're just overpriced and they'll come back to you, or you're going to set that appointment. And so having a rule in place, for example, if the number that they're giving me is at 80% ARV, 80% after repair value, go back and look at our previous videos to understand how that works, then I set the appointment. Or if it's at 85% ARV, I put them on a drip. If it's anything more than that, I'm not going to chase it, right? And let it go and move on to the next one. Maybe put them in touch with a realtor or whatever, right? So those are some ways you can structure your call to help you be effective, keeping in mind the goal of the script is to help you be fluid and set that appointment. And then in the appointment, which we're going to cover in another video, you would work through the dynamics of engaging with a seller, establishing rapport, negotiating, making sure that all the little things that are important to them are taken care of, and that the problem is solved and they trust you, right? So this hopefully will help you get started and build your empire to help you get your deal done.